Welcome back, people, to the Blues feed. Same obsession, new episode with Chelsea. This is the preview of the West Ham game where we think we can hurt them, what we would do with the lineups, and our match predictions. Before we get into it, reminder of our 1K subscriber giveaway. We're getting closer and closer. We really appreciate all the subscribes on all of our videos and the likes and the comments. We're getting closer, so make sure you pop a subscribe and a comment below to enter into the draw. Today we're obviously here with Luke, as always. How we doing, mate?
Yeah, good mate. Nice to be on to the second game and hopefully get our first win. And hopefully we get a few more subscribers and somebody might even buy or receive the new third kit that just got released this morning, which by the way is absolutely stunning. The best
Yeah,
kit
absolutely.
Chelsea have made for a long time.
I have to say I like all three kits that we've released this season, but yeah, this is one of the nicest ones. And I've said it for the last 3 years. I must rush and get it before we get a front of shirt sponsor, and we haven't had one for the last 3 years. But this one looks perfect for a no sponsor on the front, so I'll be getting it this week, I believe. But yeah, hopefully someone will be able to get one of those, maybe without the front of shirt sponsor if the subscribers go up. But let's get into the video. Gonna go with the first comment. It's actually back to back for Quake Tremors on the preview videos. And he kind of follows on with what he was saying in the last comment as well, saying, in retrospect, it does worry me about Maresca didn't consider the lap would be a more ideal response to Crystal Palace physicality style of play and start him instead of João Pedro. But at the end of the day, we should have been more clinical with our chances. That said, I'm not crashing out over the results. It's the first game of the season. We were up against a good team who had longer preseason than us, and we came out with a draw. Let's see how things progress. As for the West Ham game, I hoped they start Estevao. I think this pretty much goes along with the same thinking of us. I mean, I would have never started Delap over João Pedro. I just think João Pedro started the season better and a little bit more on it from a goal scoring perspective, and Delap probably suited coming off the bench, in my opinion, before the game. But we did look better when Delap came on. I'm not sure if that was just the urgency went up because we realised we needed to score a goal, or if it was a Delap situation. And him disrupting it, but he definitely did look good, and it's great to have two options off the bench. We did in our review pod of the game that we weren't crashing out about it, but we were starting to get a little bit we were getting a little bit concerned with basically Palmer and the left half spaces and the slow control nature of how we were playing. But as you say, Quake, it was a good team. We didn't lose. It was a point against a team that just won the FA Cup against City and the Community Shield against Liverpool. So they're a decent side. And yeah, hopefully we go on and we batter West Ham and then we won't be worrying about it too much. Luke, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, mate. I wouldn't have started the lap before the game, but I can see where they're coming from. And like you say, the lap was probably the person that when he came on the pitch, he made the most difference to where we were before. His physicality troubled them. It gave the defender something to worry about, and yeah, he's a presence, and he will start many games for us this year, no doubt. But like you, I wouldn't have started him in that particular game after the Club World Cup and the mini preseason that João Pedro had.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Estevao and Delap just were a lot more direct and a lot more aggressive when they both came on, partly probably because they were sub and trying to prove that they want to start the next game. But I thought they both made a big difference when they came on, and we'll obviously go on to our what we would like to see from the squad and the starting 11 for this game. And spoiler alert, Estevao features in both teams, so we agree with you, Quake. So I really appreciate the comment and all of the other comments. We want to make sure that you guys get involved in these videos every time. So put your thoughts down below or anything you want us to discuss. And if we think it's the best comment, we'll speak about it on the next episode. So to go into the next part, we're looking at the West Ham shape. how they set up against Sunderland. It was a very 3-4-1-2 formation with wide wing backs. Paqueta dropping into midfield and playing in the 10. But they weren't particularly very good against Sunderland. They lost 3-0. Didn't give up a lot of chances or a lot of kind of expected goals. I think they lost 3-0 on like a 0.6, 0.7 XG. So Sunderland were very clinical, but again, West Ham didn't particularly create much themselves. So it was a pretty bad start to the campaign from West Ham, and I think we can certainly hurt them. Um, what was your kind of thoughts on West Ham's opening fixture, and the way they set up?
Yeah, I mean the setup is going to be sort of a permanent under Potter. I think he's decided he wants to three at the back with wing backs. They've got a couple of good wing backs in Wan-Bissaka and Juice. Juice looks a little bit raw, but quite a bit of danger from his left foot. He's got a wicked cross on him. Overall, yeah, West Ham had a decent first half, but the keeper made a couple of errors for the goals, which sort of explains the low XG. And then their midfield are just so leggy and unathletic, and yeah, they really desperately need to try and resolve that before the window shuts, because teams, if they're just physical and energetic in midfield, they will just bypass them. So hopefully Chelsea go along that route. Maybe there could be a need for the likes of Andre Santos to come off the bench in this game and really assert his dominance in the midfield, because I feel like the player like that with energy and physicality will really make a difference and make the game what it is. Really, I think we need to attack the spaces behind the wing backs, pull their wide centre backs out, and create the gaps in the middle. And we've got some really good players at doing that and picking up pockets of space. So I'm confident going into this game, a lot more confident than I was going into the Palace game anyway. And yeah, hopefully we can do that. But I expect it to be a tough first half, and I think we obviously will come on to our predictions, but I think it'll be a tough first half, and then in the second half we'll start to open the space up a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think when I was reviewing the West Ham Sunderland game, as you say, the midfield looked leggy, and if you can get in around them and kind of make them run, you're going to create a lot of space there. Like if you can get Enzo Caicedo, Palmer, all just kind of disrupting that middle of the pitch, I think we could get some good joy out of that and kind of run at that back three, which they're not bad, but they're not particularly kind of quick. They're not particularly agile. Who don't particularly like the ball with their feet. The one thing that I saw Sunderland have a lot of joy out of was pressing and pressing aggressively and very, very quick and very high up, and it made a lot of mistakes from that defence. Particularly Tadabo, I thought was pretty useless on the ball. And gave the ball away quite a few times. Diouf, what is very good going forward, which we have to worry about in the transition, but looked like he was struggling physically to get up to speed with the Premier League. So I think that's another area that we can target. And one of the reasons why I would be putting Estevao on that right hand side, which we'll go into in what we would do with the system. But I think we can really attack them from there. This was kind of the tactical setup, the pass map, how they kind of set up and what they did actually on the ball, as you can kind of see on the pitch for the watchers, and I'll try and describe it for the listeners. It's a traditional back three, as we saw in the last space, and then you have the two in midfield. Paqueta kind of dropping in to make it kind of into a three in midfield and be quite deep, trying to be that creative outlet. But also there was a lot of focus of the ball going out wide and into the fullbacks and then up to Bowen from there. I think Bowen is the danger man. It's pretty obvious to say, but he's the one that is going to score if they're going to score. What do you kind of take from this on the screen now?
Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit like the way we build up when we play poorly. Centre back, centre back, centre midfield, centre back, and then go wide eventually. They use their wing backs a lot. By the looks of it, it's sort of spread the ball to the wide centre back, down the line to the wing back, and then see what they can do with it. You'd expect the number 10 on the graphic, which would be Lucas Paqueta, to link up play a little bit more. I think all the lines sort of coming out of him, apart from the one with Wan-Bissaka, is very tiny. So it should mean that if they're going to play wide, we've got two of the best, if not the two best, defensive fullbacks in world football. So
Hmm.
we should hopefully be able to nullify that threat. They've obviously got the two strikers, which might keep whoever plays centre back, which obviously we'll come on to shortly, a little bit busy. But I'm not too concerned, if I'm completely honest. Um,
They lack
I'd
that
l-
kind of physical threat up front. Like Fulkrug is quite physical, but he's not going to be as physically demanding as a Mateta, for example,
exactly.
last week. So I was a little bit concerned with how we would deal with that, but Trev and Josh dealt with that very well. So we don't have to worry about that so much. Um, they are kind of more right side dominant, as you can see on the graphic. The ball goes into Wan-Bissaka and into Paqueta, who is slightly right side biased, and the ball goes into Bowen up front a lot more as he's their talisman. So I think from my perspective, I would try and counter that by playing Neto off the left, which we'll see in a moment. But that can really nullify the threat of Wan-Bissaka and also give Cucurella and the left-sided centre back some extra cover, and then I would try and exploit them down that right-hand side from a from an attacking perspective. Anything else you want to kind of discuss there, mate, or do you want to move
It's
on to
more
what
just
we'll do?
for me. I always have a little bit of a. I think back to the 19. I think it was the 1920 season under Lampard where West Ham beat us 1-0 at home, and I think Cresswell scored right near the end of the game. And I just have a thing with West Ham that I'm never fully confident when we play them. And realistically, after a 3-0 loss to Sunderland and the sort of summer and pre-season we've had, we should be going into this with 100% confidence. And I don't know, there's just a slight thing at the back of my head where it just worries me slightly, but I hope I'm wrong. And I think we've got the tools to be able to nullify them. It's just being able to get that early goal and settle the confidence. I think will be the important factor for us.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling as well from what you I remember that, and I think it was the 23 season we lost 3-1 against West Ham at West Ham. But then again, the last three times we played them, we beat them 5-0, 3-0, and 2-1, I believe. So um, we have we have found the way in recent times to beat them, and I expect I just expect we have too much for them, to be completely honest. It's pretty much shut out Bowen and you'll be all right. So as long as your wingers work hard and help the fullbacks and don't let Bowen do anything, you'll be fine. And I don't particularly have too much of an issue. I think we will probably make it look harder than it is, but then in reality, never particularly struggle. Is my prediction for the game. I don't think they'll have too much. They'll have a few half chances and maybe a bit on the counter, but we should dominate possession and we should dominate the chances. So on that, let's go into the predicted lineups from our perspective. We said last week that we're probably going to start arguing soon, but doesn't look like we're doing that yet. We've actually gone with the same lineup, which I'll read out for the listeners. Is Sanchez in goal, James Tosin right centre back, Achimpong left centre back, and Cucurella on the left back. Obviously on the ball, then Josh would be the left centre back, Tosin would be the central centre back, and James would be the right centre back. Similar to kind of how we saw it against Palace, but obviously with different personnel. And then Caicedo and Enzo in midfield, Cole Palmer in the 10 for me, Estevao in the 10 for Luke, Estevao on the right for me, and Palmer on the right for Luke. Neto on the left wing, and João Pedro up front. Um, so yeah, similar kind of teams. Um, I have Palmer in the 10 starting, but I anticipate Estevao and Palmer will interchange quite a lot, as we saw against Bayer Leverkusen. So yeah, I think this is the team that can hurt them. I think Estevao can get a lot out of Diouf and their left centre back as well. He looked very direct, very. It's just created space and took two or three people at all times. They were just scared every time he got the ball against Palace. So he's going to create more space for Palmer, which you saw again when he came on. Palmer started getting the ball a bit more, and we created more. So I think Estevao has to start. I don't think there's any difference between starting Estevao and Gittins. I think they're both raw, but Estevao didn't look scared, whereas Gittins did look a little bit scared of running at people. Um, and Estevao proved in that Palace game he's not going to lack physicality. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip of when he clattered into, I think it was either Eze or Ismail Assar, won the ball and then run away with the ball while holding off two defenders. Like he may look slight, but he's not weak. So I don't have any worries about him, his readiness, about his confidence to be there, or his physicality. So pop him in the starting 11, Maresca, and I don't think you'll drop him outside of rest and rotation for a while after that. I think he'll lock down that spot. So um, yeah, Luke, talk us through your lineup, what you think will work.
Yeah, I think it's important that Tosin plays if he's fit. I think just that the presence, the leadership, the sort of the ability to be able to settle Josh down if anything doesn't go his way, I think is important. And I think he would be able to handle Fulkrug the best out of our centre backs as well. So I think that's important if he's fit. But also, obviously, if Trev plays, I'm not going to be bothered. Like Trev's still a very good footballer. Um, Fullbacks speak for themselves, really. Um, I did toy with playing Andre Santos over Enzo for this game. Like I mentioned earlier, I just think his energy and physicality as a bundle could be the difference in this game. But overall, Enzo is just the better footballer as we speak, and he is more used to the system, more used to the players, and ultimately consistency is important in this scenario. So hopefully Santos will get quite good minutes off the bench, maybe in place of Enzo. And then yeah, Estevao deserves to start. I think he's just so lively, so energetic, gets the fans off their seat, and realistically, I don't think there's much difference in rawness between him and Gittins. I feel like Estevao is actually, if anything, a little bit more confident in his ability right now than what Gittins is. And then Pedro Neto, yeah, he his energy and enthusiasm and his defensive work rate is going to be required against wing backs. And then João Pedro and Cole Palmer are João Pedro and Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I agree. I think I toyed with the idea of starting Santos because Enzo Fernandez was quite. The only way I can describe it is like leggy. He just looked tired. He didn't look sharp. So I did toy with the idea of it, but let's see how he does in this game. I'd anticipate Enzo Fernandez starts every game pretty much
Yeah,
um, that we have at the moment. And then obviously maybe with Lavia coming back or Santos settling into it a little bit more, maybe he gets a bit more rotation. But I anticipate Enzo and Caicedo being our starting midfielders for a little while now. But I think Santos will be very good off the bench. That's if that's either to push for a winner because he's very energetic, a bit more physical than Enzo, and probably disrupts that midfield a little bit more with his actual work rate and his his body in essence, whereas Enzo's going to do that more with his passing and stuff. So I anticipate him either coming on to help with the winner or to protect a lead because he certainly wins the ball a lot more than Enzo Fernandez does in interceptions and tackles. So I think he will be quite key off the bench. And then, to be honest, I think Gittins might suit being kind of coming off the bench for a little bit because if you can get him off the bench and then play him and get him to play the way that he did against Bayer Leverkusen and Milan, where he was just running at people, running at a tired defense after them chasing the ball down quite a lot against us, I think could come out quite well. And I think Delap would look quite good off the bench as well for the same reason. So, yeah, this is a team I'd go for. I think it nullifies their threat in Neto helping down that right hand side. He's our hardest working winger. Um, and also will attack the byline, which I think we lacked a little bit from the left hand side last week. And then yeah, Estevao needs to play because he's probably outside of well, yeah, probably our best winger. It looked like our best winger outside of Neto the other day. So yeah, I think this is a good balance of attacking their weaknesses, but also protecting against their strengths. So I wouldn't be surprised if the only thing we see different is the two centre backs, depending on Tosin Fofana's fitness and how brave Maresca wants to actually be with Achimpong, or if he reverts to type and just plays Tosin and Trev, for example. But let's see what happens. We'll go on to match predictions now. So I've gone for 2-0 with an Estevao and a Palmer goal with a man of the match of Estevao. Luke, you've gone 1-0 with João Pedro and Estevao. I've gone for 2-0 because I think once we get one, I think West Ham will kind of fold a little bit like they did against Sunderland. And we'll get another one before the end of the game. I think we'll, yeah, maybe be a bit tight in the first half, but score early second half and get another one towards the end. I've gone for Estevao to score due to, I think, just still getting used to the Premier League and the speed and not looking the best defensively. So I think we can exploit that space. I've gone for Estevao, man of the match, because if he scores and plays as well as me and Luke keep talking about him, he'll probably get man of the match. Luke, do you want to talk through your prediction?
Yeah, I think it'll be a cagey first half, and I think it'll be a bit of a struggle to break them down out of shape, and we might see a semi-frustrating performance in the first half, and then I think in the second half it'll open up a little bit. We'll stretch the game, and then I think João Pedro will score a goal, and I think if Estevao starts, I think he'll probably get man of the match. I think it'll be that simple in quite a few games this season. I think so many people across the country are talking about him and the impact he's going to make in a very little playing time so far. So it just says a lot about his ability, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I look forward to when we actually start arguing about what we think, because it will probably give a little bit more, bit more content for the guys listening instead of going, yeah, no, I agree. So that'll be interesting as that comes. Yeah, come on, Chelsea, we need the first win. Otherwise, you're going to see a very different Danny next week. You're going to start hearing me crash out and call
You
everybody
this
out.
time last week compared to now is already such a change.
If we lose 1-0 against West Ham and we look shit, I might just lose my head for 20 minutes and you might not get a word in.
That
I'll do the
clean
review
slate
on my own.
Maresca's going.
Yeah, it's starting to already be a bit dirty, mate. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it was just a toss in. Being injured at last minute meant that he went a little bit more for the control side, and we were a little bit rusty against a very good side. So hopefully it's not crash out Danny come next week. But let's see what happens. Reminder to everybody: pop your thoughts down below. Pop your team that you play, put your score predictions, whatever you might want, and we will discuss it next week. If it is the best comment we get, make sure to like, subscribe, and also follow us on all the socials. That was it. Hopefully we win, and hopefully it'll be our first 3 points, and we will catch you next time. Peace.